Nothing's off limits with this duo. It's father and daughter, Don and Cher. And join the club if you're a Chattermouth.
Hey y'all, it's Cher and
Dawn.
and welcome back to the Chattermouth Podcast. I'm so excited because back by popular demand, my husband, Dr. Jared Gottman, is here.
My son-in-law, Jared, is here.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me back on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, well, everyone loved your episodes, and so we had to have you. So thank you for making time for us in your busy schedule. But today's going to be a little bit different. Everyone just wants to get to know you and who you are, Jared.
Uh-oh, getting
You're
personal.
in the hot seat. You're in the hot seat
Getting personal
today.
now.
All right. So first of all, welcome. This is, welcome back.
I want to say, you grew up country club living, going with your dad golfing and that type of life. Now you're the country boy with animals on so many different kinds of animals at your house. You have pigs and chickens and rabbits. I mean, that's like total opposite type of living. How did you do it and how do you feel by it?
I will be honest, okay? I'm going to be honest.
Okay. That's what we want.
This was
honesty.
not how I saw myself living when I was growing up.
Interesting.
This was not, but that's okay.
We haven't really had this discussion.
No,
so this is
this is
interesting
not.
for us.
Really interesting.
Because the thing is that after we got married at the beginning of my medical journey, basically, we got engaged at the end of college and we moved in together. And then after my first year of medical school, we got married. At that point, we had no idea where our lives would take us. But then, so many years later, you followed me around through all of medical school. You came to Tampa with me. Then 6 years in New York, then a year in Miami. And all of these years, that's 11 years that I, because of my training, picked where we were going to be. So then, as I was nearing the end of it, I let you pick. And because you always wanted to have animals, you grew up with the farm at your house because of your love of animals. This was the life you always wanted. So I decided that I was basically going to kind of allow you to have the life that you wanted because you followed me around for so long. And so that's kind of why we ended up living closer to you, which is now we do. We're close. We're only 20 minutes away from your house.
And
I love that.
Which is nice, right?
Yeah.
Because you guys are so helpful. You and Mason are the best babysitters we could have.
Yes.
And you don't charge us anything,
Yes.
which is an extra cost.
Yeah.
But, I really felt like it wasn't fair to, again, decide what we do and what kind of house we live in. And so you always kind of wanted the farm, right?
Right.
So
did.
I kind of took
Very
backseat a little bit.
How do you feel about it now?
I'm super happy. So
Yeah.
we were looking for a house and then we looked at a couple different places. When we stepped foot on the property that we live in now, I just immediately felt like it was an oasis.
Yes. It's funny because when we were looking for houses, you actually went and looked. Did you know this? She went and scouted this house first. I had sent
really?
it to her
Yes.
because the realtor had sent me this house and I wasn't sure. I didn't like it in the pictures. And so I sent her to go look at it. And you didn't go inside the house, but you went to see the property.
Yes.
And she was like, Cher, this place is beautiful.
I said this place was amazing. I said it's so it has so much land. It has a barn on it and places for animals on it. I said this is the perfect house. You feel like you're in the country, but yet you're not in the country.
Yeah.
Right, you're not. Yeah. It's nice because we're very close to all different fun things, city type stuff, but we also have our own oasis away. But anyway, so then
And
when
it's
we
only
went to
15, 20 minutes
Right.
from my house.
Right.
So that was
The best
a plus
Right.
too.
And it's only
Yes.
20 to 25 minutes from my work,
Which
which
is great.
was the biggest thing because in New York, we lived in the Mount Sinai housing. So we were 5 minutes from the hospital. I could run to the hospital in 5 minutes. In Miami, we lived less than 10 minutes away drive by the hospital. So I didn't want to be so far commuting for an hour to work every day because that's so much time away from the family.
Right.
So we found this beautiful place. It has this gorgeous property that you could have the animals. All of the infrastructure is set up already, like you mentioned, but it's still super close to everything that we need to have.
Right,
And
exactly.
So it checked all the boxes. The house I wasn't like super sold on. But after all of the TLC we put into it to make it our own house, I'm loving it.
Yeah, Jared was putting up wallpaper and fixing floors. Like, I didn't even know you can do all that stuff. It was so cool to see.
Neither did I.
But it's kind of fun. Like, we painted the walls ourselves. Like, we did so much of it, like, by ourselves with Daddy's help, too. But, like, without, like, contractors, which I feel like is really cool because, like, we put the love into the house and now we feel so much love in the home.
And you made it the way you want it and the way you foresee it and love it.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. What do you
But
like
then
to
again,
what?
what do you think of the animals? What do you think of that type of living? Because it's so different from the way you grew up.
It's very relaxing, I think. So the chaos of my job with like surgery and fast pace and everything in the hospital, everything's sterile and clean. It's nice to come home to kind of like a peaceful, quiet. I don't see the neighbors. I'm kind of my own secluded oasis where we can do anything we want. We want to put up we want to plant trees in the ground. We can. We want to put up a fence. We can. We want to bang drums at 1 a.m. in the morning and scream and sing songs. We can do whatever we want, which is really nice to have that space because, you know, being in New York, everyone's on top of each other. It's like so tight and everyone's in each other's personal space. You walk down the sidewalk and everyone can hear the conversation you're having, right? There's no privacy. So being here where it's like we have our own piece of the pie, it's just been so nice to finally get that after so many years.
Yes, and I love it so much. It's so funny because I feel like when you first met me, you probably didn't expect all of this. Like, you know, I mean, you knew I always loved animals, but now I'm like out like shoveling poop and, you know, doing all that kind of stuff. So it's funny. I saw this TikTok video once where it's like, I have 2 wives and it's like the wife and it's like all dressed up in heels and it's the other wife like at the farm. And so...
Well, remember our deal though, right?
What?
Our deal, if we were going to move to the farm and have animals, was that I never wanted to be in charge of the animals. I always said I'd help out and I'd help and I'd do lots of stuff, but I don't want it to be my responsibility because I have a whole career and I have so much responsibility at work.
Right.
But if Cher wanted to have the farm, she would have to be like the ultimately responsible one. And I will say I'm very impressed with how you're shoveling poop. You're out in the middle of the night, making sure the animals are taken care of. You wake up like right at the crack of dawn to let the animals out and make sure everyone has food. And you're doing it all. I help, you know, but a lot of times I can't.
Right.
And so the animals really depend on you, and you do so much for them.
It's
I
Cher's
love it.
happy place.
It is.
She's happy being around those animals, and it's her. I think it's your like relaxation and your enjoyment.
Every time I walk outside early in the morning, because I'm always like, I'm not a morning person at all. Like, I'm such a night owl, not a morning person. But going outside to see the animals every single day, I go, because it just feels like nice just being able to go outside. So I'm very happy we ended up choosing this place, this home. But, you know, we almost didn't. We came very close to not because I wasn't sure. There was this one house that I like fell in love with and you never got to see it. And there was like, Jared says there was a ghost inside the house.
Haunted. It looked like a dollhouse, but like a dollhouse that was haunted. And our realtor was telling us all these crazy stories about like things that happened in the house and weird floods and fires. Yeah. But whoever was selling the house fixed it up so it looked kind of nice. All of a sudden, Cher was like became obsessed with it. And like I'm hearing all of these red flags and over and over again, but she just wasn't hearing it. It was like the house was talking to her and sucking her in.
It was. I was like obsessed with this house. And Jared's like, Cher, there's a million problems with this. And I'm like, the price is right. It's so beautiful. It's like a doll house. And I think there really was a ghost in there because I really like wanted it. And it had that eerie feeling. I think there really was a ghost in
It did have that feeling.
Yeah. You must take me by it.
I have to.
No, don't go back. You can never go back. But it was really far away from you. It was like double the time away from you. So
it's like why would I want that?
Yes.
I don't know, but it was the ghost. But it has been so nice living.
So
close.
let me ask you. Now that you live like 20 minutes from me, how do you feel honestly by it? Do I bother you? Am I like intrusive? Like, what do you
Is she actually as smothering as they made her out to be on TV?
So you've never been intrusive, I don't think. Number one, I never thought of you like that at all. And, you know, we had so many things going on at the time, and we lived in New York. So every time you came up to visit, you would stay with us. So you were in our small apartment 24/7 until you left. So it was kind of nice in a lot of ways because you're together the whole time. But then that's more intrusive than now. We have our own house. You have your own house. So you always go back home. So we don't spend, like, when you would visit, you would come in on like a Friday and stay till Sunday. Right. And those 3 days during the weekend, we'd spend constant time with you. Now, we were just talking about this. We don't spend a whole weekend together anymore, even though we live 20 minutes away. You come in for an afternoon or a dinner, or we go over there for like a couple hours and then we go back home. So it's honestly, I feel like it's not so intrusive.
Right.
We're far enough away that you can't just pop over for nothing, but like just walk on over. Like I don't know if I would be happy with like being next door. Like you wanted to buy the house next door.
We wanted that.
I'm glad that we didn't do that because that's a little too close.
Yeah.
But 20 minutes, I think it's perfect. And you've only been a pleasure. And we are so appreciative. I mean, your dad comes over and fixes stuff in our house.
He's the handyman.
We don't even know he's here.
You hired him.
We don't even, right?
We don't even know he's here. I'm like, was there somebody outside? And I'm like, oh, my dad is fixing the rabbit cage right now.
The only way we know he's here is because we find like dropped $20 bills on the ground that fall out of his pocket. And that's the only way we know he's been here. And then everything's fixed.
Yeah, everything's fixed. That's so true.
Well, I try to make an effort that when I know you are coming home to leave, to give you space and have time with your family.
You're so sweet about that.
You about that. And I said, now's the time for you two. I'm leaving.
It's so nice. Like, she won't even stay for dinner.
I know. It's just, I never understand that.
I never do either. I'll make a whole dinner. I'm like, stay for dinner. She's like, no,
there's
you're
always extra food.
Always.
And we invite you for dinner, and we know you'd like the food, but then she just doesn't stay like out of principle.
I love the food because it's vegan and I'm a vegetarian and Daddy's a carnivore, so I would love it. But no, I try to know my place, and I know it's time for you two to be together with Belle. So then I leave.
Maybe being on the show was a good thing, kind of taught you to take a step back.
A little bit of feedback. She hears like, she's like, oh, maybe I don't want to be that person anymore.
It's too funny. Sorry to pause the podcast, but if you're loving our podcast, then you'll love our book, and we have to tell you a little about it.
Actually, we wrote this book, and it's about how we got this close and how you can too.
It's called A Bond That Lasts Forever. And basically, it goes over our life's ups and downs. It shows pictures throughout our life and has adorable quotes throughout to inspire other mothers and daughters to have their own special relationship. You can pick it up on Amazon.com, at Barnes & Nobles, or wherever you get your books. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Well, speaking of the show, what's your thoughts now that, we've been able to take a step back and not be on the show this season? What are your thoughts of, that we were on Smothered? I know that was something you weren't so excited about as we were. Right. What was your thoughts about that?
Okay, so I'm going to drop a little bomb and say, honestly, I didn't want to do this show. I didn't.
Why?
Because
he did not want to. I had to make him sign a contract with me to you have to do it with me. And if you do it, you have, what was it? It was
a get out of jail free card.
He gets one jail out of free card.
Get out of jail free card.
Yeah, for me. He gets one. He still has it. You haven't used it yet. I shouldn't have brought this up. I guess so. But he gets one get out of jail free card for doing Smothered with me.
That's so funny. Yeah.
I didn't want to do the show. I was working so hard, right? It was in the middle of my busiest residency years where I was had so much responsibility and I was working 14 to 16 hours a day. And I don't really watch reality TV in general. So I don't really have a big desire to do that. I always wanted to be professional, become the plastic surgeon and have a professional look. I think of reality TV and I think of trashy sometimes, people, not showing the best version of themselves, whether or not they purposely do that or the shows edit it to make them look like that. So I was very worried that I was going to come off poorly and it was going to affect my professional career. I was worried that my residency program bosses were going to be like, no, you can't do this show.
Right.
So I actually didn't even tell them I was on the show until
we found out.
Until we had already filmed a whole bunch of things and it was definitely going to happen because I was worried that they were going to be like, no, you can't do it. And TLC basically said I have to be on it if we were going to be on it.
Right.
So
Right.
long story short, I did it for you.
Right. Well,
Well,
thank
that's
you.
what you do
Aw.
in a marriage. You give and take. Marriage is all about give and take, and that's what makes a great marriage. Sometimes you do for the other, and then the other does for you, and that's part of having a good marriage.
It's so true.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw how happy it made you to not only be able to have a platform, because I know you were so used to it between all the stuff you did with MTV, and that you were so excited to do something with your mom, which I know has always been your dream to like have some sort of like program that you do with your mom.
Right.
And TLC basically said, I have to be in it because I'm like
Right.
that third person that makes is like a contrast to you two. And without
Right.
me, there's basically no show. And I was like, oh man.
Right.
But I love doing the
Yeah.
show because it was like our special time that we
Yeah.
had together to do things together. And
yeah.
I'm surprised you liked doing the show so much because
Yeah.
they kind of made you out to be like the bad
villain.
guy.
I know, but you really have to. I'm true to yourself and know you. And I knew myself, and I know the way I am. And even though sometimes people would say, you know, I'm too pushy, and I would feel bad because I don't think I'm pushy. I have your best interest at heart. I feel as long as you're confident within yourself, you can't really think about what other people say about you.
Yeah. So you don't regret doing it though.
No, I was so lucky. My program literally just laughed and thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
It didn't really intrude on my work life at all. It was kind of annoying how I would come home from like a 14-hour day
I know.
in my scrubs, like exhausted.
like,
And there
there.
was like 10 cameras in our apartment.
Yes.
And everyone was like, okay, mic up. You're going to be on camera. And I was like,
That
But-
is exhausting.
But then once COVID happened, as we
Right.
got onto like, I think it was like season 3, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and it was post-COVID, it became a lot more difficult to film smaller projects.
Right.
So we had to film more things in a shorter period of time. So I
Yeah.
was able to kind of dedicate my weeks off to the show. So it became easier.
Right.
They weren't coming every month or every couple weeks to film. They were we were doing like a few, at least for me, we were doing like a few sessions. So it actually got easier for me over time. But no,
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
Because it was an amazing experience that like I can honestly say I've been on a TV show.
Yeah.
Which like I would never be able to say that. And
Yeah.
I saw how happy you guys have been, you two have been throughout the whole experience.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And it's also those memories that we have, like Cher giving birth on national
I was
TV.
just gonna ask Jared,
you
what was
know?
your favorite episode out of all the episodes? Do you have a favorite? I know, like, her favorite episode was when I told her that I was pregnant.
Yes.
That was her favorite episode. I think my favorite episode was like when Belle was born, or the gender reveal was really cool too. Do you have
Yeah.
a favorite one?
So top episodes for me are definitely the first episode, which is when you told her you were pregnant, because the whole family's in that episode, including my mom,
Oh, that
Yes,
was amazing.
which is
of
the only
course.
one she was able to be in.
Right.
That was amazing. And then definitely when Belle was born, because that was just a crazy night
Yes.
in
So
general.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was such a long, crazy night, and you were such a champ. And just so you
Thank
know,
you.
for those watching, she did actually walk to the hospital, and it was part of the plan. We specifically planned that because we lived so close to the hospital because we were in the Mount Sinai
Yes.
housing, that we were going to walk because we wanted you to be as far along as possible before getting into the hospital.
Right.
So she did
Everyone
walk.
thought it was her fault, but
No.
we actually really
We
wanted
planned that. That was all part of our birth plan because we felt comfortable, you being a nurse and me being a physician,
Yeah.
that we knew how to kind of time your contractions and to
Correct.
go as long as possible between when you started having your contractions and
Yeah.
when we got to the hospital.
It
But then
was
you started
hard
vomiting.
though. Oh, it was so hard walking
I
to the
remember
hospital.
that.
Like I thought it was such a great idea, and then I did it. I was like, "This is the worst idea ever." Like it was so
No,
hard.
you were such a champ. You were
Oh,
such a champ. You
thanks.
did awesome.
Oh, thank
I
you.
think you were a champ to be able to give birth when we just came in for that weekend. And
Oh
you,
my gosh. Well, we made it happen.
We, made it happen. We walked Central Park over and
Yeah.
over and over again to
and had
have her
like
go into
pineapple. We were
contraction.
trying to like have like the certain
Everything.
tea, like
Yeah.
just
No, it was
trying
great.
everything.
It was great.
perfect.
You guys did everything you needed to do.
Yes,
and
she came on her her
Yeah.
actual like due date.
Due date,
which is
right on
her due date.
amazing.
But
Yeah.
so that was one of my favorite ones. And then I would say you going in the pool was really funny, just because like
That was my worst episode. purpose.
Like, that one is just, a hilarious thing that I feel like I'll always remember, because it's just like such a shock and highlight of the season. And the gender
Jared.
reveal.
Yeah.
The gender reveal was just such a fun party.
During that episode, we were all upset, and he's like laughing.
I know,
He
I
was
couldn't
like,
believe he
"This
was
is what you got."
laughing.
He's like, "Well, you got yourself into this problem. Now get yourself out of it."
It was funny. It was really funny.
Yeah.
But the gender reveal was
That was
amazing. Just because
amazing.
like
That
we
was
had
amazing.
planned that for so long,
Yeah.
the gender reveal. And we
Yeah.
did so much work, both like leading up to it and on that day. And everyone came and it was just so much fun.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
When people watch reality TV, they think, like, viewers think they know you. They think they know all about you. Is there anything that you think that viewers, like, think of who I am versus who I actually am? Like, what you actually see of me? I know that's a really hard
Yeah,
question.
that's a
I
hard
put you
one.
on the spot. But
Yeah.
I just feel like a lot of people think I'm a certain way, but you know who I really am.
I think that the trap of the show, because it is the show is called Smothered, is that they kind of paint you in a light where you don't have your own voice sometimes. And I think that that is so far from the truth. You are 100% your own independent person, and you love being with your mom, which is I'm totally fine with, and that's amazing. But there's never been a time where you're not your own person and where you don't listen to yourself. Maybe when you were younger, when you
Right.
first started dating, and she had a lot more influence on
Right.
you. But since we moved to New York and you got married, even before that, you've been 100% your own person. You shine in your own light. And I don't think the show really painted that properly.
Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, you know what? You helped me kind of come out of my shell a lot. I remember when Jared and I first got married, he taught me how to write like my first check, was it? Or like
Yeah.
how to use an ATM or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I didn't even know how to do that. But it's crazy because we've grown up together. We've been together since we were 18.
Yeah, and I'm still teaching her things. Like just the other day, I taught her how to turn on a hose.
How to close a hose. I could
Close
turn it
a
on,
hose,
but I
right.
kept turning it the wrong way.
She still never learned righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I finally taught her.
That's so funny.
Oh my goodness, that is too funny. Well, it has been, yeah, I feel like that's part of, getting to grow up together, which is so fun. Being together for so long,
yeah.
we've learned so much.
And you've definitely kind of smoothed out my rough edges a little bit. Taught me more about.
I think you've kind of learned how to maybe approach things in a nicer way, like you said. You're always so nice, but you know how to I don't know, make people smile.
That's what's great about complimenting each other, and you do that greatly. It's
Yes,
really
definitely. It's been so fun, all these experiences that we've been able to have together. So many couples come together and have to tell each other their past, but we've had so much of a past together, which is so nice. We've been married now 11 years
God.
together, 15 or 16 years.
I remember when I first met you.
Yeah.
So in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
right,
Little
right.
Jared. How times have changed.
know.
Well, I can't wait for our next chapter, and there's so much more to come. But anyways, Jared, thanks for coming on this podcast with us.
Thanks for having me.
This was so much fun. And thank you all so much for tuning in to the Chattermouth Podcast. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.